There are some people in your life who you think you know where they came from, you know what they're good at, you know what they're going to become, and sometimes you know the person, but you don't know the life. That's how I felt about him. I've known him for years, and growing up, he was always the smart one, the honor student, scholar, dean's lister, the kind of person everybody in the family talked about with so much pride. He's going to be successful, and you know what? They were right. He graduated and became a nurse. If you looked at his life from the outside, you'd probably say, oh, he made it. But there was a part of his story I did not know. And when I finally found out, I didn't know whether to feel sorry for him or judge him. Honestly, I judged him. Quietly, I did not say anything, but inside I was thinking, really? You? Let me take you back.
Take us down.
His family wasn't completely poor. They had a small business, they had a place to live, they had food, they were surviving. But surviving is very different from having money. And he was in nursing school. And if you've ever been a nursing student in the Philippines, you know that tuition is only the beginning. There's the uniform, the books, the projects, the clinical requirements, transportation. All these little expenses that somehow keep appearing. He was a scholar, he was a dean's lister, he was doing everything right. But sometimes doing everything right still wasn't enough. So he worked. He became an usher at a prestigious cultural institution. He went to school, he worked, he studied, and he kept his grades up. He was trying to solve a very simple problem. How do I stay in school when I don't have enough money to stay in school? And for a while, he had someone helping him. He was dating an older doctor. The doctor knew he was struggling and helped him with his tuition. So maybe for a little while he thought, okay, I can do this, until they broke up. And suddenly the help was gone. But the tuition wasn't. The requirements were not. The dream wasn't. And that's when a friend introduced him to the business of being an escort. When he told me this years later, I remember sitting there and thinking, really? I did not say it, but I did think it. Because in my mind, there were things you did and things you did not do. And this was one of those things. This was the person everybody thought was going to be successful. The scholar, the dean's lister, the smart kid, and I thought, how could you do that? But I didn't know the question I should have been asking was, what happened that made you think you had to? He wasn't doing it every day. It wasn't a lifestyle. It was something he turned to when he needed money. And when he got that money, he went back to school. That's the part that stayed with me. Because the money wasn't going toward a better wardrobe. It wasn't going toward luxury. It wasn't about impressing anybody. It had one destination, his education. He wasn't buying things. He was buying another chance to stay in school. And apparently some of the other people around him who were doing the same thing would tell him, you need to buy better clothes. You need to look good, invest in yourself. Because they understood what they were doing as a way to make money. But he had a different purpose. He did not want to look successful. He wanted to become successful. So when he made the money, he put it into school. And then he went back to class. Imagine that. Sitting in a classroom with everyone around you, taking notes, studying for exams, working toward the same degree, while carrying a secret nobody in that room knew. And then, when the money ran out again, he knew exactly what he had to do. Not because he wanted to, because he had already decided, I am going to finish. And he did. He became a nurse. He got a good job at a hospital in the Philippines. He became a clinical nurse. Then he went to the Middle East. And then he had something he did not have when he was in school, a real career, a real salary, a way to help his family without having to do what he had done as a student. So he sent money home, and he kept sending, and kept working, and kept helping. And somewhere along the way, the young man who once needed help paying for his own education became the person his family depended on. Then his father died. Then his sister died. And then his mother died. All of this happened while he was working abroad. One loss after another. And eventually, I found myself at his mother's wake. And that's where I learned the part of his life I had never known. We were talking, just talking about life, and he told me, not like someone making a confession, not like someone asking for sympathy. It was almost like he was finally saying, you think you know what my life was like? You have no idea. And I listened. As he told me the story, I could already see the whole thing playing out in my head like a movie on fast forward. The student, the usher, the money, the older doctor, the breakup, the escort work, the tuition, the nursing degree, the hospital, the Middle East, the money he sent home. And I remember thinking, how did I not know? How could we have been so close and I did not know? We were all watching the same person, but we were seeing two completely different lives. We saw the success, he lived the struggle, and that stayed with me. And that's what I understand now. For years, I thought he was successful because he was smart. And he is. I also thought he was successful because he was hardworking. And he is too. But now I understand that those things were only part of the story. There was a young man who refused to give up. A young man who found a way when there wasn't enough money. A young man who made sacrifices nobody knew about. A young man who kept his secrets because he had a bigger goal. And then he became a man who kept giving long after he had already earned the right to say, I've done enough. And maybe that's what I want him to know. If he ever watches this, I want him to know that I see him differently now. Not because of what he did, not because of how successful he became, but because now I understand what it took. We were all so proud of the man he became, but we did not know what the boy had to endure to become him. And maybe that's why his story feels bigger than him. Because somewhere in the Philippines, there is another young person doing whatever they can to stay in school. Someone working while studying, someone borrowing, someone sacrificing, someone telling themselves, just finish, just get the degree, just make it. Because sometimes poverty doesn't take your dream away. Sometimes it makes you pay for your dream in ways you never imagined. And I think that's something we don't talk about enough. We love the success story. We love the nurse who made it, the OFW who bought a house, the child who graduated, the sibling who became the family's provider. We love saying, look what they accomplished. But sometimes I think we should ask, what did it cost you? Because the person standing in front of you at the finish line might have left pieces of themselves all along the road. And sometimes they don't tell you because they're too busy making sure everybody else gets there too. That's what I see when I look at him now. He's still doing it. Still sending things home, still buying shoes for people, still filling balikbayan boxes, still taking everyone out when he goes home, still thinking about everybody. And now he finally buys something for himself, a nice bag. A few things he wants, nothing extravagant, but I see it differently now. Because I don't see the bag. I see a man finally allowing himself to say, "This one is for me." And I hope he does more of that. Because after spending so much of his life asking what does everyone else need, I hope he finally gets to ask, what do I need? And maybe that's the question I wish somebody had asked him when he was 20 something. Not how are you going to pay for this? Not how are you going to help your family? Not how are you going to make it? But simply, what do you need? Because he spent so much of his life figuring out how to survive that I hope he gets to spend the rest of it figuring out how to live. And to him, if you're watching this, I want you to know I judged you. I did. I did not understand. I saw what you did, but I did not see why you had to do it. And I'm sorry. I truly am. Because now I know something I did not know then. You were not trying to become somebody else. You were trying to become the person you knew you could be. And you found a way. You finished. You became a nurse. You built a career. You crossed oceans. You took care of your family. And somehow, through all of it, you never stopped being generous. So maybe that's what I want people to remember. Not the thing you had to do, but the reason you did it. Not the secret, but the sacrifice. Not the shame someone might attach to it, but the courage it took to keep going. Because sometimes the people we call successful are simply the people who refuse to let circumstances have the final word. And you refused. And after everything life dealt you, you still choose to give. And I know that this is one person's story. It's a story I witnessed. It's a story that was lived by someone I loved. But I'm telling it because I know it's not just his story. Because in the Philippines, there are so many people who have had to make sacrifices nobody sees. Just to get an education, just to help their family, just to make it to the other side. And maybe some of you watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you've been that person. Maybe you still are. And maybe there's a part of your story that nobody knows either. This is Z for Nobody Told Us, and I'll see you at the next one.